There are times when humanity is especially susceptible to outside influences, like those from politicians and globalists. And let's be honest, it's not a great feeling to realize that the thoughts in your head might not even be your own. The ideas you're chasing after might not really be yours either. And that's exactly what a lunar eclipse intensifies, especially the lunar eclipse on September 7th, 2025, which is what we're going to talk about. If you're interested in a personal forecast, you'll find a link to my website in the description of this video where you can choose the consultation that suits you best. There have actually been some changes to the consultations themselves recently, so you can check out the new options, and I'll be happy to receive your request. So, this lunar eclipse will take place on September 7th, 2025. Its influence will begin about a month and a half before and last for about half a year afterward. Of course, the strongest impact will be right around September 7th, 2025. So, what exactly makes this lunar eclipse so significant? It's the fact that Rahu is in very close proximity to the moon. Let's take a look at what Rahu actually is. What is Rahu? It's a virus. It's diseases. And that's why, around September 7th, 2025, a new virus or a new pandemic could emerge in the world. How will it be different from a situation that happened in 2019? The difference is that in 2019, there was a clear configuration indicating there would be isolation. Right now, there is no such configuration, so yes, there will be a new virus. People will often get sick with viruses, that's true as well. But there won't be any border closures, or at least not any large-scale border closures during this time. Then you may have already noticed that mosquitoes are carrying all sorts of viruses. This is being talked about now in August 2025. And now people are remembering COVID again, so the topic of viruses is already becoming active. Next, what is Rahu? Rahu means extremes. Rahu is about terrorist incidents. And notice, Rahu is practically on the moon. So, this is all external influence on the psyche of other people, on the psyche of ordinary people, which is why terrorist acts may occur, or rather, will occur around September 7th, 2025. This can even be compared to fanaticism, when someone decides that they are so devoted to a certain faith, so committed to an idea, that they're ready to go to extreme. And these extremes are often exactly tailless acts. That's why such events are very likely to happen around September 7th, 2025. And especially, even on a human level, we need to understand that this also affects our psyche. We are people too, and we can also sometimes go to extremes. If you know about this, you can use your awareness, your mindfulness, to stop yourself, to stop in time and not make a mess of things. Next, Rahu is about intoxicating substances. On the one hand, we can say that around September 7th, 2025, give or take a month and a half from that date, we might see some accidents related to the production of intoxicating substances, intoxicating and chemical substances, for example, pharmaceuticals, alcohol production, tobacco production. That is, everything connected to intoxicating substances. Such industries may be destroyed, and at the same time, some bad or wrong laws related to intoxicating substances might be enacted. In addition, during this period, people might use such substances and harm society, which will lead to discussions about banning intoxicating substances. Or there could be some striking event that happens, created by people or a person under the influence of intoxicating substances. On a physical level, we need to understand that during this period, around this lunar eclipse, it is not advisable to abuse intoxicating substances. You should even be very careful with any medications you take during this time. If your house allows, it's better to wait until the eclipse has passed. Even after the eclipse corridor is over, wait another week after September 21st, 2025, and then start any new treatment if your medications are chemical. Overall, it will be very difficult for humanity to maintain clarity of mind here because, once again, Rahu is eclipsing the moon. Rahu has a strong influence on emotions, and during this period, all of us can be tossed from one side to the other, just spun around and torn apart. That's why many people may fall into depression. And by being aware of this, just understand that right now your hormones, your emotions, your experiences, or rather even your perception of the events happening in your life All of this is currently being influenced by the lunar eclipse. The next configuration in this lunar eclipse points to serious natural disasters. We've already talked about the fact that there will be natural disasters in August as well. There was an earthquake. But that's not the end, because September is still ahead. In September, there's an eclipse corridor, and both the lunar eclipse on September 7th and the solar eclipse on September 21st, all of this points to natural disasters. This configuration, which signals natural disasters, last occurred, including in 1952, when London was covered by the killer fog, a thick smog of coal smoke and exhaust fumes that claimed the lives of about 12,000 people in just a few days. In 1989, when the Exxon Valdez tanker off the coast of Alaska caused the largest oil spill in U.S. history, polluting thousands of kilometers of coastline and destroying the local ecosystem. This suggests that a natural disaster and a man-made disaster are quite likely or may occur in September 2025. As a result of these disasters, we will see changes in the rules, laws, and legislation regarding nature. This configuration also points to accidents related to liquid mineral resources. For example, oil, liquefied gas, gasoline, there could be explosions, and so on. How will this eclipse affect different countries? First, Ukraine. The eclipse directly aligns with the planet of luck, opportunity, and expansion. So what happens when an eclipse aligns with such a point? In other words, the opposite. Less luck, fewer opportunities, less expansion. All of this is happening in the house of neighbors and borders. So what does this mean? It means that there are, let's say, relatively calm periods in Ukraine, relatively calm. And now, when this eclipse happens, it will be a more dangerous period. There could be a loss of positions at the borders. Zelensky's horoscope says the same thing, that there will be some very intense fighting at the borders, and there could even be losses of positions. The next country is the United States. And here, it says again, a new wave of economic difficulties, economic problems. At the same time, there could be issues related to nuclear energy. This doesn't mean there will be an explosion here. What is this issue with nuclear energy really about? Somewhere, the US is putting pressure on someone, trying to push its position regarding nuclear energy, trying to make a deal with someone, and here, it will be impossible. Besides that, a new atomic era is actively developing in the US right now, and because of this project might also face some difficulties, which we can already observe. In addition, during this period, the period around September 7th, 2025, the US might experience an explosion at a production facility or some kind of terrorist attack in the US. Besides that, there could be a problem with food or non-food products. So, if it concerns food, maybe some contaminant will be found in the food. If it concerns non-food products, there could be some malfunction at a factory, maybe an unpleasant incident, an accident, or an explosion. So, this also means that prices for food and non-food products in the US will be rising during this period. There is also another influence here that creates restrictions for the government and possibly even an attempt on the government or shab, difficult situations and conflicts for the president. Also, there is an influence on the planet that is responsible for the Earth, and there could be accidents involving the land, such as landslides, sinkholes, or ground subsidence. But it can also indicate the collapse of tunnels and mines, and this planet is also responsible for production. That's why a crisis or an accident could happen in the production sector. In Trump's horoscope, there is also a configuration indicating unexpected events for his image or leadership. In addition, there is also another influence on financial difficulty. He also has an influence affecting the financial sphere. So once again, this confirms that the US may face some financial difficulties during this period. We have China, and the solar eclipse here also points to possible incidents, unpleasant events related to the land. That is, landslides, sinkholes, ground subsidence, tunnel or mine collapses, or accidents at production sites. At the same time, there's some kind of crisis situation here, maybe even a period of mourning. It could be an earthquake. Plus, there will also be a scandal and damage to China's economy. That's all from me. This was me, astrologer Anastasia Cepega. See you in the next videos.